Good Wednesday evening from Scripps News live in Washington. I'm Chance Seals.
And I'm Haley Bull. This is The Debrief.
Hunter Biden made a surprise appearance in front of the House Oversight Committee today. The GOP control committee was holding a hearing on whether to hold the president's son in contempt of Congress. The move sparked Republican outrage when he suddenly showed up, sat in the front row because the first son ignored a previous congressional subpoena to appear privately last month.
The younger Biden sat in the front row of the hearing as opening statements were being presented, but left soon after one Republican Congresswoman, Marjorie Taylor Greene, began talking.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Excuse me, Hunter. Apparently you're afraid of my words. I think it's clear and obvious for everyone watching this hearing today that Hunter Biden is terrified of strong, conservative Republican women because he can't even face my words as I was about to speak to him. What a coward.
Joining us tonight to discuss that interaction is Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. Congresswoman, thank you for being here with us at Scripps News. You know, this was the focal point of much of the political world today, despite everything happening in Iowa. And so we wanted to talk to somebody actually involved in this. So for people wondering, what is all the hubbub really about? They don't follow the TikTok every day. What questions or evidence specifically do you need to ask Hunter Biden about in private that can't be heard in public?
Well, we are following the same committee rules that have been held in multiple Congresses, where first you have a transcribed interview, and that's how you handle a witness. And then secondly, you move to a public hearing. And Hunter Biden and his attorneys had agreed with our Oversight Committee, and we had a date set that he was coming in honoring his subpoena, just like President Trump's children, Don Jr., Eric, Ivanka, had also followed the same rules coming in honoring their subpoenas, which they did. Except Hunter Biden, he disobeyed and broke law. He broke federal law by evading his subpoena and going against his agreement with him and his attorneys and our Oversight Committee. And so today we held a hearing holding him in contempt of Congress. We just voted that out of committee, and we will still have to hold that on the House floor for a vote.
But Congressman, the committee wants to hear from Hunter Biden. You want to depose him. He has indicated he's willing to testify publicly. So given the crucialness from what you guys are saying and listening to what he has to say, why not take him up on that bare minimum here?
Well, we were going to, but what he did is he evaded his subpoena. You see, there's rules that have to be followed and laws that have to be followed, and Hunter Biden has proven that he broke the law and he doesn't want to follow the rules. We really do want to hear from Hunter Biden. We have a lot of questions to ask him, questions about the proof that we have that he violated the Mann Act, which is human sex trafficking. We have proof of that. We also have proof that he took foreign money and bribes from foreign countries into his dozens of LLCs, and that it has enriched him and his family. We have many questions to ask him about that, but he has to follow the rules and he has to follow the law.
So
and Hunter Biden has chosen not to follow the rules or follow the law.
I understand procedure and precedent and things like that, but I guess if he says, here, listen, I'll open up my checkbook. I'll let the American public see my routing and account number. You have held up pictures of him having sex with somebody you said was a prostitute. I mean, like he says, everyone's seen it. Just let me talk in public. Let people hear from me. Why not allow that?
We were ready to allow that, actually, but you see, he has to follow the rules and the House rules and the rules of Congress. He has broken those rules, and his attorneys and Hunter Biden, they agreed to come in for a transcribed interview. This is common practice. No one can pretend that this is not normal. This is how it's done on all committees. Witnesses come in for a transcribed interview, and then they come in for a public interview. We've said it over and over again that we are ready to have Hunter Biden come in for a transcribed interview. We are ready for him to have a public hearing where he can talk about his expenditures. But you got to remember, everyone, we have his bank statements. We have all of the bank reports that sit in the Treasury. So we have a lot of evidence to ask him, and we are more than willing and want to ask him. But what he did is he broke federal law and he evaded his subpoena. and he forced us to hold him into contempt of Congress. So he can't show up like a child who got in trouble and then say, oh, I'm here, and act like he's innocent. It doesn't work that way.
Two follow-up questions for you here. What rules specifically is he breaking? And I understand what you're saying here, but again, is there information specifically that can only be talked about in private versus public when you're getting to the crux of why not just let him talk in public now, for today, for instance?
Well, I think that's a great question. Thank you for asking that. So first, he violated federal law by evading his subpoena. You got to remember the Department of Justice prosecuted Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro for the exact same thing. But this is how it works. So it's common practice, whether it's a Democrat-led Congress or a Republican-led Congress. Committees usually have a transcribed interview first, and that's where a lot of ground is covered, many questions are asked, and then there is a public hearing held. Now, I'll tell you right now, I don't make these rules, and I wish that we had a lot longer than 5 minutes, but in the public hearing, each member of Congress only gets 5 minutes with the witness. If I could change it, I promise you I would change that, but I'm not the chairman and I'm not the Speaker of the House. But we are more than willing to have Hunter Biden come in to follow the rules of Congress like every other witness has to for a transcribed interview, which is information that is provided and many questions that are asked, and then a public hearing. And I think the American people would like to see that happen, but Hunter Biden broke the law and disobeyed his subpoena. Let me ask you about Hunter Biden, one last issue here, because I know this has gotten so ugly and it's so public. Your colleague Nancy Mace said this earlier today. It got a lot of attention.
You're the epitome of white privilege, coming into the Oversight Committee, spitting in our face, ignoring a congressional subpoena to be deposed. What are you afraid of? You have no balls to come up here.
Congresswoman Greene, you know, this has gotten so personal and ugly, like I said, but if we can take that away and just talk about this as people. I was going through your account just to see what you had said about stuff, and at the very tip top of your X profile, it has two words that caught my attention, given my background, which was Christian mother. When we think about the Bible, I'm a Christian also, you know, some of the most memorable, touching moments are Jesus redeeming the woman at the well, bringing Mary Magdalene in, healing the man with leprosy. These were society's untouchables. They were the sinners, people who had done wrong. And there's this element of accountability, of course, but there's also this superseding recognition of we have all fallen short of the glory of God, right? And so in your heart, as a person, as a Christian, do you see that humanity, that child of God in Hunter?
You know, I really appreciate you asking me that. And let's talk about the difference there. There's a difference in forgiving someone, and there's a difference in forcing them to be held accountable and follow the law. Jesus was clear when he talked constantly about the law. As a matter of fact, he chastised the the Pharisees for not following the law. So Jesus preached constantly about following God's law, but at the same time,
Jesus said the Pharisees were too caught up on rules.
So those are two different things. We have federal law, and Hunter Biden evaded his subpoena, and that's why I voted to hold him in contempt of Congress. Now, as a Christian, do I hope that he seeks help for his drug abuse history? Do I hope that he seeks help and forgiveness from women that he prostituted and filmed videos of and uploaded on porn websites? Of course I do. I hope he seeks forgiveness for those things. And I think that's extremely important for him to do. And I think that's important for us to talk about. But there's a clear difference in the law and forgiveness between people.
And Congressman, the administration, though, has called this impeachment inquiry into President Biden a, quote, political smear campaign. Democratic Congressman Garcia said this. I want to play it for you.
Let's remember who's really driving the car here. This is all about Marjorie Taylor Greene. On day one, of President Biden's inauguration and the day he became president, she filed an impeachment motion on his very first day in office. So this is her impeachment fantasy. This is Donald Trump's impeachment fantasy come to life, where they're just obsessed with doing whatever they can to ensure that they stop President Biden.
So, Congresswoman, what is your response to this? And end of the day here, what are you looking to achieve with this inquiry?
Well, you know, there were 51 members of the intel community that signed their name to a lie, saying the Hunter Biden laptop was not real. And that was all to engage in election interference in the 2020 election. I was one of those people that never believed the liars from the intelligence community. And I knew the Hunter Biden laptop was real. So much of this information that we have produced on our Oversight Committee investigation into Joe Biden and Hunter Biden's corruption and abuse of power was well known, and for those of us who never bought into the lie that was sold all over the media in the 2020 election. I introduced articles of impeachment against Joe Biden on his first day in office because the evidence was already there and it was clear. We cannot have a president of the United States that is willing to sell out America in order for him and his family to get rich. And I still very much believe that, and I believe we should move forward with impeachment of Joe Biden.
Okay, so Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson, I know you're used to working on a clock, and we are in our dwindling moments here. We want to cover two things real quick, if we could do it in 30 seconds each. Mike Johnson is on some shaky ground right now. A lot of the GOP is now saying, I'm not so sure about him again, or enough of the GOP. Do you think he has time left on the clock? Would you support a motion to vacate?
You know, I came to Congress to do a job for the district that sent me. I was not involved in ousting former Speaker Kevin McCarthy, and I'm not involved in talks to throw out another speaker.
But would you?
I do want to work with Mike Johnson. I'm one that's not happy with his job performance. I don't want him negotiating with Schumer and the White House without talking to those of us in his conference that elected him to be Speaker. I'd like to see him put border security first and to stop the weaponized government that is persecuting people all over the country with Biden's Department of Justice going after his top political opponent. I think those things are important to our voters, but I'm not interested in disrupting Congress again. I'm here to do a job for my district, and I'm here to do a job for the American people.
And Congressman, turning to the campaign trail here, because we do have news in tonight about Chris Christie stepping down from the race. And we just want to get your reaction to that before we let you go here.
Well, I don't know what took him so long, actually. And as a matter of fact, I don't know what's taking all these other Republican presidential primary candidates so long. It's pretty clear to me and to most people paying attention. President Donald J. Trump is going to blow this primary out of the water, and I can't wait to watch it happen. I'm looking forward to being in Iowa this weekend.
Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, appreciate you being here.